Hey, Who fans, and welcome to the Big Blue Box podcast. My name's Gary.
My name's Adam.
And welcome to episode 361.
Yes.
Welcome back, Who fans, to another episode. This is 361. I hope you are keeping well and safe. We hope you're having a cracking week and that you've all managed to do something Doctor
Who
related.
Beat
you
he
again.
tries to catch me out.
Beat you again. We are back, yes. Apologies for last week. Dear listener, dear Who fan. It's just one of those busy ones. We're in a bit of a strange flux within our podcast recording at the minute, because we didn't have a show last week because we were busy with work. Well, I was very busy with work. Some stuff came up, so we couldn't find time to record. So we're back this week, but might as well dive straight into this. We're not going to be able to record for the next couple of weeks because we're on vacay and doing work travel stuff. So we're not going to be around. So this not really, those of you that have listened to our show for the last, 3 or 4 years or however long, you'll know anyway, we normally take a couple of weeks off anyway over the summer. So it's not too different for us anyway. But so I'm on vacay next week, and then a week after that I'm in the US with some work travel. Adam's off to the US for a few weeks and doing bits and bobs. His partner's there for work, so we're doing some work stuff as well. So we're not around, essentially. So the next couple of weeks we'll try and sort something out so we can get recording again after that, but who knows.
It's just not hot enough here. We thought we need to go to America. It's so hot here, guys, in the UK. It's unusually warm, but me and Gazza are off to the US, and bizarrely, this is totally unplanned. It's just, as Gary likes to say, and I love it when Gary says this because I love the saying, the stars have aligned, and we are bizarrely going to both be out in Texas at the same time. Now, whether we'll actually get to meet in person, we don't know, because it's Gary's out there for work, and I'm going to be sort of traveling around because my partner's out there for work. So it's the next couple of weeks are a crazy time for us, and unfortunately it will affect the podcast. But yeah, there is potential that we'll meet up, and even if it's for an hour in Texas, and I don't know, it might not happen, but we'll both be out in Texas or around that way, or Dallas, and I say Texas, Dallas.
Yes, Dallas, yeah. So that'll be cool. Yeah, we might do a little, if we manage to meet up, we might do a little Instagram, little live 5-minute message.
That would be cool.
Say hello to you guys, yeah. But yeah, totally unplanned as usual, which is going to be cool. And you're right, yeah, we not quite content with the 30 plus degrees heat we've got here. We thought we'd go to a place that's 40 plus, and so that's going to be fun. But so that's just a heads up for you guys. We're going to be away for the next couple of weeks at least, and then after that we should sort something out so that we can get back on the schedule. So later on in this episode we've got our review of Miracle Day, and it's we're still going through the old series, getting through them, and it's going to be episode, I think this is episode 6, I think. The Middlemen. So that's going to be that's going to be a good one. And before it won't be long for onto, actually, because it's been a real quiet week for us. Neither of us have done anything really Doctor Who related. I know you've been prepping and getting ready for your travels, dude, coming up. And although Adam has got a couple of videos in the pipeline, he was telling me about one earlier, which is going to be cool. So I'm not going to spoil what that is, but keep an eye on the old Geeks Handbag YouTube channel, because we've got some of that dropping. But a couple of things I did want to mention. Are you looking forward to the pandemonium and mayhem that's about to ensue with people hunting down these announced B&M sets, dude?
Well, do you know what? Because obviously I'm going to be away when they get released, and I'm going to be completely honest, mate. Normally I'd be quite upset about that. Normally I'd be like, oh no, because you know how hard they are to get. Normally you've got to be in the shop. You know, you're lucky if you can find them in a B&M, because they get scalpered up. But after last time, anyone who's watched my video of the last B&M quest, I was so depressed and angry after the last time of not being able to find these sets. I really, even if I was here, I'm just not putting myself through that anymore. I'm literally not. I don't think the sets this time around are that great anyway. I like the Dalek sets. They look cool, but I'm not bothered. I'm going to be away and they'll probably all get snapped up. But I've kind of, the fun has been taken out of it for me by the, how hard they are to get, how much they end up for on eBay, and just the whole thing of going to B&M is just such a miserable experience that I mean there's a TARDIS set coming out, or supposedly coming out, before the end of the year. I mean, that's the sort of thing that I just wouldn't be able to resist. I will definitely try and get that. But these sets they've just announced, I don't think I would like to get them, but I'm not going to put myself through it, and I won't be here anyway, so I mean, I don't know. I've asked a couple of people to look out for them for me. I said, if you find them, get me one, I'll give you the money. So yeah, I'd still like to get them, but I'm not going through that misery again. Never again. Anyone who's watched my video, just go and have a look. It nearly broke me. Never again am I going through that to try and get a toy. It's just not happening. So,
I read you do,
and you don't collect them anyway, so you definitely won't be.
Oh no. I just sit back and observe the absolute chaos that goes down on Twitter with everybody either saying, yay, I've got one, or no, it's bloody annoying, I didn't get one, or somebody saying, yeah, I've got 11 of them, so check my eBay account. You'll pay double, but there we go.
Do you know the Dalek set? I forget which one it is. I think it's Planet or Death, I don't know. The silver Dalek set that's supposedly coming out is somebody's already got an eBay listing, a pre-order for it for £75 plus £5 postage. I mean,
bloody hell.
How is it already on eBay? It hasn't come out yet. I mean, they're that confident that they're gonna get it, or maybe they're I'm not saying they are, but maybe they're a B&M employee and they think, oh, it's all right, I'll grab a load of those when they come in. They won't get on the shelf. I'll just get them straight on eBay. I don't know. They need to just give them to FP, get them online, and everyone will just be happy.
It's weird, isn't it? Yeah, you and I are still a bit confused as to the exclusivity deal with B&M. It just seems like a random weird place to mind you. Having said that, they've got some stores have got an okay toy aisle, I suppose, with all that stuff. So I don't know, but yeah, it's just weird. Just give them to FP, whatever.
Well, I hate my local. I don't know what yours is like. I when I go into my local B&M, I lose the will to live. It is like hell on earth. It's screaming kids and people just crowded aisles. You can never get out as well. They don't have an aisle where you can actually get out if you just want to browse. So you always have to sort of push past the queue to get out the blimmin' shop. I hate it. So yeah, I'm not in. Although I'm going to be sort of sad to miss out on getting sets. If I do miss out and get them, I shan't miss the misery of having to keep going back and forth trying to find them this time round. Anyway, yeah. When that TARDIS comes out, I expect I'll put myself through it. But yeah, I don't know. Maybe some friends will pick me some up. That'd be cool, but not too bothered. No, I read you. Yeah, I had an annoying but at the same time amusing tweet from our buddy Rob at the Doctor Who show. Oh yeah, and he says, yeah, it's that time where UK Twitter people are all angsty that somebody bought 1,000 and that their store has none. Meanwhile, the same sets will land in Australia, pop culture stores, with no exclusivity here, and we'll just buy them at our leisure. It's a strange which is how it should be.
Nice one, Rob. That makes us feel loads better. Yeah, thank you. But that is annoying, in the UK, this B&M thing. But alas, if you want them that bad, then you'll go through the circus and through the hoops to get them, I guess. But yeah, it's all good. The other thing was, remember the name that always gets thrown in the hat when there's a new Doctor about to be announced? Remember, we get a million names and the bookies go nuts for it and stuff. There's one dude, isn't there, that's referenced every single time. What's his name? Chris
Marshall.
Chris Marshall, yeah. He's finally broke the silence on that stuff. Every single time. Yeah, every single time, Chris Marshall's name comes up and he goes to the top of the list for a while and then he disappears and he's back again. somebody quizzed him. He was on TV doing an interview about something, another random TV show, I can't remember, and they asked him about this Doctor Who thing. It's like, so are you ever going to be Doctor Who? Have you spoken to the BBC about it? Because your name is always there and you're always the front runner for a while to be the next Doctor. And he basically said, and this is, I think this crippled a lot of people, because he basically turned around and said, absolutely no. And on top of that, I've never seen an episode of Doctor Who.
What?
So I have no idea what you're all talking about. He said, I get it all the time. I said, people ask me about TARDIS this and Cybermen that and all the rest of it. And he said, I have no clue what you're all talking about. He said, so not only have I never been, approached by the BBC or spoken to anybody about being the Doctor, he said, I wouldn't know what to do even if I was offered it anyway. So I think that should put it all to bed. So the next time, so whenever Shooty is thinking of leaving and, we have our next Doctor, just don't bother with Chris Marshall. He's just not, he's not into it, clearly. So let's put that one to bed.
That's hilarious. I didn't know that. God, how could he have never seen an episode? Surely. I actually think he wouldn't be a bad Doctor, actually. I must admit, I think he'd be quite good. But, I don't know if he's not seen the show. But mind you, Jodie hadn't really seen it, had she? When she took it. Maybe she'd seen it, but she didn't want to. She didn't sort of go back and watch old stuff. She wanted to sort of do her own thing, didn't she? So
she wasn't like David Tennant level of fandom. No. But there we go. So Chris Marshall, forget about that dude. Unless it's a huge, massive red herring, and he absolutely has watched all of it, and has auditioned for it, and they've said you narrowly missed out, so you'll probably get it next time. It's just a bit of a ruse, who knows? But yeah, let's put it to bed.
I love how he always gets put out there though every time. It's become quite funny now, because it was all just because some newspaper picked up on the fact that he left one show at the time that the next Doctor was going to be announced or something. So somebody put 2 and 5 together, didn't they? Concerning 92. Him, because he's like, hang on a minute, we're getting a new Doctor, and Chris Marshall's just leaving. Was it Death in Paradise or something? Oh, it must be him, because why would he leave that fantastic show? And so somebody put 2 and 5 together, and it's been Chris Marshall ever since, every time, which is quite funny. I bet he's like, if that is true, I bet he's really bemused by it. But he's just like, what's going on? Like, how did this happen?
Yeah, I bet he's sick of it as well. Every time it comes round, is people asking him. He's like, no. I don't think he's ever gone out in an interview before and categorically said no. I think it's the first time he's tried to put it to bed a little bit, but he must be sick of it though every time.
If I ever see him again, I'll be like, oi Chris, knock. Who's there? Doctor, shut up.
Oh God, yeah.
Do you know, actually that reminds me, when he was first announced, I wanted him to be the Doctor for one reason only, is that I've got a photo with him from years ago, and I was like, oh, if he is the Doctor, I can post my picture with him because I've already met him. But he never was. And actually it's kind of a blessing, because it was so long ago that I met him. I look awful in the photo. I look like a Bee Gee. I've sort of got. I think I met him. I don't know. It must have been in the summer, and I met him sort of at the stage door after seeing him in a play. And I've sort of got my shirt wide open with my chest out, and I said, I don't know. I look like I'm in the Barbados or something. It's a terrible picture, so it's probably a blessing that I didn't post it. But yeah, but it's there just in case he ever does get announced as the Doctor. I've got that picture ready.
You've got it done and ready to go.
The Chris Marshall BG photo, yeah.
Yeah, nice. So that's like there's no news obviously to go through in the world of Doctor Who at the minute. It's back to being very quiet in the run up to stuff. I've seen loads of things on Twitter with people freaking out that the Jodie era is coming to an end, and they're annoyed that there's no marketing to ramp up her final episode, and all the usual stuff. So that's all going on. I'm not going to talk about that, but
yeah,
there's no official news other than these little bits and bobs. So without further ado, we'll crack on with our review. Before we get to that, though, make sure you are following or subscribing to our podcast in your preferred podcast app. That way you won't miss an episode when it lands every single Friday. You can also listen to us on our website for free. Just head over to bigblueboxpodcast.co.uk. They're all there all the way back to episode number 1. So go and give them a listen. We're on the socials too, Instagram, Twitter and Facebook. There are links on the website. We chat Doctor Who throughout the week, so get involved there. And we have a free Discord server with lots of other cool Who fans to jump in there and chat Doctor Who. There's a link on the website as well. And we have some really cool reviews and articles that are trickling out every single week. Our really cool writing team, they put out very cool reviews. We've got some really good Big Finish reviews that went out recently. From the team, so they're on the website as well, so check those out. And don't forget to remember to go and watch all of Adam's YouTube stuffs. It's of course the Geek's Handbag.
Geek's Handbag, yes, and I've been working very hard on a video that should be out the day you're listening to this podcast, all being well, which I'm very, well, it will be. I'll make sure it is. Whether it's finished or not, you might just be watching it and it cuts off halfway through, but one way or another, because I won't have time to do it once I go to the States. So it's got to be out before I go. So enjoy that video.
Nice. Good times.
It's a good one. I won't say what it is, but it's a good one.
Yeah, and as always, just grab a drink in this weather. Grab a nice iced tea, iced coffee, some squash, whatever. Get comfy. Hours and hours worth of great videos from Adam on his YouTube channel. He's on the socials too under the same name, The Geek's Handbag. So give him a like and a follow and we'll all chat Doctor Who.
Now, and I don't know if you noticed, but you pointed out that in my old videos, I used to pull silly things out the bag.
You did.
And I thought, yeah, that's true. I haven't done that for a while. So I actually did it in the last video I put out. I don't know if you saw it when my vinyl release, I pulled something silly out of the bag, just especially for you, Gary. I thought, I must do something silly. See if Gary knows.
Dude.
I might make that a regular thing again. I quite enjoyed doing that.
Yeah, because that's the whole visual thing of the Geek's Handbag. You're putting random stuff. Yeah, it's all good.
Yeah, so I'm bringing that back.
Bring it back. Lovely. Yeah. Rightio, dude. Review time. What we got this week?
Yeah, so we're moving on with Miracle Day, Torchwood, and we're on episode 6, and this one's called The Middlemen.
They're calling them Category 1s. And for what I've seen, don't ever let them call you that. The minute you hear Category 1, you better get the hell out of Dodge, because they are going to burn you.
This isn't a hospital, this is a concentration camp.
Those ovens are waiting for all of us.
You're never gonna find her, she's dust.
Oh, Jesus.
I'm with Torchwood, and we're gonna expose everything that's going on here.
Tell me who's behind this.
I've been trying to find out.
There was a Dr. Juarez on the site, right? Well, someone burned her alive. People will stand trial for crimes against humanity.
This is the truth for the whole world to see.
Ooh, Gwen riding off on that bike. Boom.
Yeah. So Torchwood then. Cracking through Miracle Day. This is episode 6, right? I'm pretty sure. Yeah, it is, yeah. So this was first broadcast in the US on the 12th of August 2011, and then we got it in the UK on the 18th of August 2011, and it was written by John Shiban. It was directed by Guy Ferland. Stars the usual cast: John Barrowman, Eve Miles, Mekhi Phifer, Alexa Havins, Kai Owens. Unfortunately, our good doctor is no longer with us. She was, as you remember from last review, she was left to toast at the end of the last episode. So Vera's no longer with us, so slightly reduced cast. And the synopsis is, with Gwen, Cooper, Rex and Esther trapped on different sides of the Atlantic, it's a race against time as Jack Harkness goes straight to the heart of the conspiracy. Which reminds me, we've got a very cool guest cast for this one. So we've got Ernie Hudson, which is very cool. So Ernie Hudson playing Stuart Owens. We'll get onto that scene in a bit, or those scenes, should I say. So we're over halfway through now, dude. Episode 6. We've said over the last couple of eps that nothing really is going on. Stuff is going on, but it's not at the same time, if that makes sense. It's sort of plodding along, a wee bit filler, not really getting to the heart of the matter. And what's different about this episode as well, actually, is we have no Bill Pullman's character. No. No redhead PA woman. Those two are not in this one at all. So it's a bit of a different vibe, this one. But do you think we're picking up a bit now? What do you reckon to this one, dude?
Yeah, I'm not sure we're picking up. It's still a bit of a filler and a plodder, but I did like the fact it was slightly different this week. For me, it made it more interesting. So no Oswald Dane, no red-headed PR woman, but we did get some new characters and also new settings. So we got the beginning bit in Shanghai, which I thought was quite intriguing. We get, what's he called? Ernest Hudson's character, Stuart Owens,
Ernie.
is introduced. Yep. And I was really pleased to see him in it because I don't remember him being in this series, so that was cool. I immediately was like, hey, Ghostbusters, you know. So I was dreading watching this episode because I'd sort of read our listeners' reviews, which weren't particularly positive, or some of them weren't, saying it was a real filler episode. I saw on Wiki that it was a real filler, and I thought, oh no, another episode of real filler. But I was sort of pleasantly surprised in a way because I thought this was not a bad episode. It progresses just another little bit more and doesn't really go that much further with the story, but I like the fact we had a change of setting. I like the fact we had some new characters introduced. I thought there was sort of plenty going on, although it wasn't moving the story forward. There's plenty going on, like Rex being captured and the torture scene, and who's the guy who was torturing him with the pen? He's quite a good evil character, actually, although obviously Esther's taking him out now, so we won't be seeing him again. So for me, this wasn't bad. I thought there was enough going on to keep me invested in the episode. I liked all the sort of new things that were thrown in this week. I thought it was good that we didn't see Oswald because, you know, we've had quite a lot of similar scenes with him. So it gave us a break from that. It just felt like something a little bit different this week. And it wasn't the strongest episode, but because of those new things. And I'll be honest, I wasn't like some of the episodes this series so far where I've been really bored in the middle. This one did keep me engaged. You know, the stuff with Gwen and Reese, you know, they were being a good double act again this week. The stuff with Rex being captured. There was enough going on that I thought that this wasn't a bad episode. So, yeah, I say pleasantly surprised. It wasn't amazing, but considering what I'd read about this one, I was expecting it to be a really dull episode, and I don't think it was. I think it was quite good in some ways. Yeah, certainly one of the more watchable ones, I would say.
I see.
So yeah,
Very
not
nice.
bad.
Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, in the scheme of Miracle Date, which so far hasn't been a great series, this for me was one of the more entertaining episodes, I would say.
Okay, yeah, that's a good summary, dude. And before we crack on, I just want to apologise. I've got my window open a little bit because it's so hot, and the area that I live, there's a bajillion dogs, and ultimately, at any one point in the day, there's at least one or two of them that are yapping their faces off. So apologies, listener, if you can hear that. But yeah, that's a good summary, dude. I think it's definitely it was definitely a better watch than the last 2 weeks for me, because in the last two episodes, it had that same kind of overall feeling that you got afterwards, where there was quite a few bits going on, quite a few things happening, but we had no progression in the overall underlying big thing. Like, what is this miracle? You know, what is who's exactly behind it? You know, what's FiCorp exactly got to do with it? And so we still have no answers to those things. But I don't know, it just felt like it was a much better paced episode, and it had a lot more, I don't know, it felt like it had a lot more at stake in this one. I think maybe because Vera died at the end of the previous episode, we know that it's not one of those it's not one of those episodes where, or sorry, not one of those TV shows or series where everybody's alive at the very end and you feel like there was no stakes and there was nothing to fight for, if that makes sense. So I think with Vera dying, it now feels kind of real. It's like, okay, these guys can actually be, you know, killed, and, you know, no one's safe. So I think that hit home a little bit. And then as you went through the episode, there were some very, very cool scenes. I don't know, John Barrowman was much better in this one than he has been for me the last couple of weeks, especially that scene where he sat down in the restaurant with Stuart Owens, Ernie Hudson's character.
Yeah.
That whole, you know, those two were very good together, and Ernie Hudson's so cool. Very underrated actor. He's not just, you know, the Ghostbusters guy. You know, he's a really, really good actor. So, and that was really good between those two. And then there was some some really great scenes with the guy you mentioned, Colin, the director of this concentration camp, as Gwen names it, these overflow camps. And so they're freaking out basically, aren't they? So him, that guy Colin, and there's also one of the soldiers, Ralph. Between the two of them, they're freaking out because, you know, Colin killed, you know, he murdered Vera. He didn't only shoot her, but he threw her into the oven and she's gone. And so Ralph is then, he's now freaking out because he's got, you know, his guilt all over him. He's like, oh, we're going to get caught. You know, this is awful. We shouldn't be doing this. So he's sort of growing a conscience, you know, minute by minute.
I'm just laughing because Ralph, I've made a note about Ralph, has to win the award for the most over the top bad performance. I mean, has that guy ever worked again since this? Because I couldn't believe his Fred Kohler, is that how you say his name? He was so he's really, the director said to him, you know, you got to freak out, you're really freaked out, and he, bless him, he does go for it, but oh my word, all the way through, he kind of was taking me out of the story a little bit. His acting was so OTT, but I found it quite amusing, actually.
Yeah, that one-liner as well, you know, when he shoots Colin at the end. So there's the scene at the end where Esther thinks that she's, quote-unquote, nobody can die, can they? But she thinks she's killed Colin. And then when then he, you know, comes back, you know, he starts to strangle her and Ralph shoots him. And that one-liner, you know, this has all got to stop.
Yeah.
And you think, come on, Ralph, come on.
Oh, dear.
You've got this, dude. So, yeah, I see what you mean. Yeah, Fred Kohler. Sorry if we're butchering that name. Yeah, it's yeah. So those two, I really like the interaction between those two. You've got Colin, who's clearly a bit of a nutcase, right? So he's clearly a little bit.
He's unhinged, isn't he?
He is unhinged, yeah, because he's very, very deranged in that. Again, at the end of the episode where Rex is chained up, he's been captured, and he thinks he's getting through to him. He thinks he's getting through to Colin. He's like, look at the tape. Obviously, Colin already knows because he's the one that's murdered Vera anyways. But Rex is like, look, you know, you and I can stop all this. Just look at the tape. All the evidence is on there. And then he has this weird moment where he has this mental switch in his head that goes off, and then he starts to torture him, sticking the pen in his wound on his chest.
Yeah, that's horrible.
Horrible, yeah. So those things are very cool. And then also Esther actually comes to life a little bit in this episode. So throughout,
yeah, she does, finally.
Yeah, so in the last few weeks, you and I have said that, you know, she's not terrible, but she's sidelined a little bit here, and she's not really great there and stuff. So Alexa Havins, she comes to life. Not only the good fight scene that she has with Colin at the end, but she's poking around a bit more. She's got the cute little bimbo smile on, you know, to fool everybody in the office that she's just a, you know, secretary and stuff like that. So yeah, she has a better episode as well. So overall, dude, I thought this was a step up from the last 2, maybe 3 episodes, I think.
That's why I'm surprised, because it's episode 6. It wasn't getting good reviews. I probably shouldn't read the listeners' reviews before I watch them, actually. I probably should read them after. But I just was expecting this to be a really lull of an episode like that, sort of mid-series lull. And I think this is probably one of the first episodes in this series where I haven't sort of reached for my phone too much. I mean, I've really struggled up to this point. You know, there's been good moments, but there's been a lot of sort of padding and talking and going over the same thing where I've just like looked at my phone and checked, you know, WhatsApp and stuff. And this one, there were good moments, and I didn't find myself sort of reaching for my phone within the first 5 minutes, for example. So that, you know, as I said, the stuff at the beginning with the chap in Shanghai, and he's so horrified by what he sees, he jumps off the building, and you're like, well, whoa, what's going on here? You know, that stuff. The stuff with sorry, who's the evil guy with the pen?
Colin.
Poking at Colin. The bit where he's got the camera, and I just assumed he was going to wipe the footage, didn't you?
I thought so, or destroy the camera. Yeah,
or destroy the camera. And I thought, again, good moment of suspense there. What's Colin going to do? Why is he getting that pen out? I mean, that was quite gross, that bit. I didn't really get... I think that was a bit gratuitous in a way. I think that was literally there to make you squirm. I don't know what he thought he was going to do with that pen. But there was... Do you know what I mean? There was good moments like that. I mean, like you said, even Esther turned from like shy mouse into this badass, like when she beats up Colin, blimmin' heck, where did that come from? Like, you know, up until this point, she's done nothing. She's been like a really boring character, and she suddenly turns it around. So she gives Colin a right proper beating.
Gives him a good hiding, yeah.
Yeah, she gives him a good hiding. So there was some, I thought there was some good moments. And as I said, Gwen and Reese get some great moments, don't they? They're working together again, and there's some good comedy between those two, which is great. It sort of almost felt to me, almost like a sort of a regular episode of Torchwood, because that's the thing. I think one of the reasons we struggled with Miracle Day so much is because it doesn't really feel like the Torchwood we know and love. It does feel so different and detached. This almost felt like a regular Torchwood episode. You mentioned the bit with Jack at the table. To me, that is classic Torchwood. Jack just sitting down, being, you know, a bit clever. He's got that girl on his side, you know. Although we did get that scene, oh my God, I thought of you. I thought when Jack walks into the bar and instantly the bartender fancies him, and we get that exchange, and it's just like, oh, how about I come round with the coat and all this? And I'm like, oh my
Slapped
God.
his bum.
Yeah. How is Jack irresistible? What aftershave is he wearing? So yeah, I did think of that, but that's what I mean. But anyway, going past that scene, the bit where he's talking to Mr. Owens at the table and stuff was great, and then the guards burst in and he's managed to disappear. It just felt like a bit of the old Torchwood in many parts of this episode, I thought, which really for me was much needed, because I think if we'd have had another really poor episode by episode 6, I mean, you know, it would make this a really hard series to get through. And I don't know about you, but I'm invested enough at this point to want to finish this series. You know, I'm quite invested in what's going on. It's not been a great series up to this point, and it's certainly been a slow burner, but I am starting to get intrigued by some of the plot threads now, and I'm sort of, I'm looking forward to finishing it in two ways. I'm looking forward to finishing it because it hasn't been a great series, but I am also looking forward to getting to, hopefully, some sort of conclusion with this series. So this episode helped to drag me into it a bit more, I think. I'm hesitant to say enjoying it, but I'm certainly enjoying it a lot more than I was 2 or 3 episodes in.
Same. Exactly the same, dude.
Yeah.
Yeah, hesitant to say it's going to be onwards and upwards from here, but you know, it's definitely it was definitely a more intriguing watch and a more enjoyable watch, because there was 2 or 3 very cool key scenes, and not only the ones we've mentioned, but there was a really cool so Gwen's really focused on getting her dad out of this overflow camp, and she sends Reese off, doesn't she? So those two are very good in it, as usual. So she sends Reese off. She's like, no matter what happens, you have to get him out of this camp before 6 a.m. because at 6 a.m. that's when they're moving them to these modules, aka the giant ovens. And she knows her dad's going to be murdered. So, Reese turns up with the truck, and he's like, I don't know. My boss sent me here. He's like, what are you doing here? It's only 5 a.m. He's like, I don't know. Well, who's your boss? Oh, Captain Jack Harkness. And then whoever that guy speaks to on the phone, I don't know what happened there, because he's like, well, apparently you've been given special order, so maybe the name flagged up or something, I don't know.
Yeah.
But then Reese is like crapping himself. I think the cool thing about that scene is that he's crapping himself for 2 reasons. Number one, he knows he's up against the clock, right? He has to get Gwen's dad out. But secondly, he knows that if he doesn't do this, Gwen's going to kick his ass big time. So he's scared of it. I know, yeah. So, he's scared of the repercussions if he doesn't get that done with Gwen. But so those two are very cool in it as usual. This sounds weird, and listener, you might make sense of this, but to me, Gwen and Reese are like the only remnants of the Welshness of Torchwood, because up to this point, Torchwood has always been very, I wouldn't say quintessentially Welsh, but, you know, it's been set in Cardiff. It's always shot around Cardiff. It always has Welsh extras in the cast and stuff. And now, because this is very US Americanized, those two are like the last bit of any sort of Wales East, you know, sort of stuff going on. So I love those two. You know, it feels like they're the most down to earth out of all the cast, if you know what I mean, because they're still you know, they're, although Gwen wants to muck in, and, you know, towards the end of the episode, she does have that little video call with Jack, and she's like, I'm back in the fight. You know, I had to sort this thing out with my dad, but, you know, I'm back. Everything's going to be cool. And so she's back into it. But until that point, her motivation has just been, I need to save my dad, make sure Reese and the little one are all good. So those two are the most grounded, I would say, because the rest of it is this big circus, this big conspiracy thing. So I like those two. Those two were very cool in it.
It helps to make it feel a bit more grand on scale as well, doesn't it? Because, you know, when you're just having all these things happening in Cardiff, this is supposed to be like a global event. So having scenes set in the US and in Cardiff, I don't know, it just makes it feel like, yeah, that's all happening over there, and it's also happening in Wales and the UK. It just helps to sort of make it feel a bit bigger on scale, I think. And they are such a great double act. I need you to clarify something though, because I may have got this wrong, but there was a great scene where at the end Gwen gets on a bike and blows up a building. It's a real like, yeah, go Gwen, because she's such a awesome character. It's such a kick-ass moment. But what was in the building? Because I was like, that's not full of the patients, is it? She hasn't just blown up all the... But I may have... Did I drift off and miss something there? What was that building she blew up? She didn't blow up all the dying patients, did she? That
no,
can't be right. I must have got that wrong.
No, but it was, she finds explosives in the camp, and she's like, oh yeah, sweet, I'll use these. So it's the building that she blows up is part of the overflow camp, but it's not the part where all the patients are.
Yeah, I was going to say, because she wouldn't, yeah, right. Because it was a good scene, but then I suddenly thought afterwards, there weren't patients in that building.
No,
you know, great scene and all, but yeah.
Yeah, so that was the bit where, that was very cool. That was like, it's kind of like a Lara Croft Tomb Raider sort of moment for Gwen, that bit. Very stylized, like the little donut on the bike and, you know, screaming tires and stuff. So that was cool. And then you had a little cheesy line from Jack. He's like, that's my girl. That's my girl.
But that's what I mean. Again, that feels like the old Torchwood that we know and love, those sort of big, over the top, wow, you know, punch the air moments. Yeah, like, go Gwen, you know, it's like, that's, I think, what the series has been missing, really. Little moments like that. So,
little bit.
It was good.
Just want to jump to the end while we're talking about Gwen. I felt like that was back to front, her reaction at the end. When she's in the bathroom, she's put the lenses in. So this is where she's blown up part of the camp. She knows that her dad has been supposedly off to safety because Reese escaped the camp and blah, blah, blah. And she lands at the airport. So she's flown back over to the US. She lands at the airport, and there's a thing on the speaker system that says phone call for Gwen Cooper. She goes to the phone, and it's only one word that some mysterious person, what it says is lenses. And she's like, what lenses? So she goes to the bathroom. She puts the i5s in, those cool lenses where she can receive text messages in her eyes and stuff. And it says, we have your mum, we have your husband, and we have your daughter. And she's like, she's obviously, you know, what the hell? But then her reaction to the next bit where she's like, well, what do you want? You know, what do you want from me? And then it just says, deliver us Jack, I think it says.
Yeah.
And she sort of jumps back crazy and like against the wall and stuff. And she's really flipped out. To me, that was the wrong way round to me. I don't know about you, but I would have thought that reaction would have been more appropriate.
I've got your kids.
To your
family.
kid. Yeah.
Yeah.
I've got your kid, I've got your family. And then when it got to, you know, deliver us from Jack, then she should have turned more badass, like, okay, it's on now sort of thing. So I'm not sure what that was about. I'm not sure why that was directed, and she was directed that way by Guy Ferland. Maybe you can clear that up, but it seemed to me like her priorities were the wrong way round in her reaction to that bit.
Yeah, I think they definitely. And I think it's probably just done to give the cliffhanger that, you know, that's the bit that happens before the cliffhanger. She just jumps back and it's OMG moment. I have to say, again, this is the first episode where I wasn't biting at the nail to put on the next episode, but for the first time, I could have quite happily watched the next one, if you know what I mean. So, like, this is the first time I've actually felt like I wanted to watch the next one rather than, oh, well, I'll leave that for next week sort of thing. Because the next time trailer as well, I don't know, do you get it on? Because you watch it on...
Yeah, I see it.
Yep. So the next time trailer looked blimming brilliant.
Crazy,
Actually, Gwen's like giving Jack having a right go, and she's like, "What have you done now?" and all this, and I thought, God, that looks pretty good. I mean, I don't know, it might turn out to be rubbish, but the next time trailer was really good. The cliffhanger was decent, and I thought it was a fairly decent episode. So I'm like, God, are we finally sort of getting to the point where I'm enjoying this series, and I actually could quite happily, put the next one on. So that, it was good. But I know what you mean about that moment. I think it's an editorial decision to try and make the cliffhanger a bit stronger. But the reaction, it does seem like it should have been the other way around, because it makes it seem like she's more worried about Jack than her kid and her family. So, I agree with you with that. But I think it's just an editorial thing that. Yeah,
you're probably right, dude. And I think the only possible logical thing is that she's more worried that somebody actually knows about Jack rather than that sort of thing. Maybe, I don't know, but anyways, I don't want to take anything away from the episode. It wasn't, I just thought that was a bit sort of upside down. But before we wrap up then, I just want to talk about Ernie Hudson's character then, Stuart Owens, because that was I think he was just a solid character to plant in this episode, because in a way I was worried, because remember back in episodes 1 and 2, possibly 3, I think, we had what looked like this managerial dude, the head of the CIA, whatever.
Yes.
The guy from Jurassic Park.
I was going to mention him, yeah.
And I thought, is this just another one of those where he's in it for a minute or two and then he either gets killed or we don't see him again? But he actually plays a quite a pivotal role in it, because he's the one that Jack thinks he's onto him and thinks he's about to crack the case, right? Because Jack is like, okay, we've tracked this guy down. He's, clearly knows what's going on, and he must know what this miracle is. He must know something. And it turns out he doesn't. He's just as inquisitive about this as Jack. So they're kind of fighting the same fight in a weird kind of way. Stuart wants to find out exactly what FireCorp is up to. Jack, obviously, and Torchwood want to know what's going on. So they're kind of in the same boat to a degree, but they're very different people, obviously. And I feel that Ernie just really got... sometimes actors, even just small parts like this, sometimes you just feel like they've read the script and they get it. They know exactly what's required of the character. It feels like it's not forced. They know what the crack is. I feel like Ernie really did that with this one. And that scene where him and Jack are in the restaurant, you can see the two mind shifts in Jack as he's talking to him, because Jack is adamant that he knows more than what he does. So he's recounting like all of the steps that he's made to investigate what's going on. He's like, look, I'm in, I've got this lead, but it just leads to nothing. And there's just company within company. It's all hidden and all the rest of it. I'm trying my best to find out. And then Jack at the end is like, okay, fine. So, and then that alludes to the title of the episode, because his character Stuart basically says, look, I'm just the middleman. I'm the guy that sat there trying to figure it out. There's people below me doing stuff. There's people above me that I have no clue about. Maybe you can tell me. And Jack's like, well, I don't know. That's what I'm here talking to you about, trying to find out. So I loved that scene. It really kind of almost got you to the point where you're like, oh, excellent. We're going to find out what's going on a little bit more here. But then it sort of slaps you back down. It's like, nope, we're still not going to tell you exactly what's going on with FireCorp or anything like that. So I thought that was really, really cool. And Ernie Hudson really played that really well. So I really liked his character, dude. Very cool.
I did as well. And I'm glad you mentioned the chap from Jurassic Park, whose name I completely forget, of course. I was worried, because I was thinking he's a great actor, that guy. See if you can find his name while I'm waffling. But yeah, he's a great actor, that guy, and he's only literally been in it for like 30 seconds, and I assumed he was going to play a big part in it, because I thought if you get an actor like that, surely he's going to have a big role. He might come into it before the series finishes, I don't know, but I'm starting to think that's all we're going to see of him. And so I was a little bit worried that when Ernie Hudson was at the start, that was going to be his only scene. I thought, is that it? Is he just come in to play that sort of minor character at the start to set the episode up? So when he did come back into it, and his character, it was good, because his character was quite rounded as well. We sort of get who he is almost straight away, don't we? He's sort of a bit of a player, and there's something going on between him and the secretary, and Jack uses that really well to trick him into giving him information. So again, a nice little bit of writing there, and it was just great to see Ernie Hudson in it, you know, properly, not just sort of popping up as like a cameo.
Yeah.
So
no,
yeah,
that's
so
cool.
but I did have that same worry that he was just going to be like this minor little 2-second role, and so yeah, it was good, and he was great. Yeah, it's great to see him in it.
Yeah, it was cool. Yeah. And lastly, what do you think the guy saw at the beginning? Because Stuart phones this contact in Shanghai and says, look, FireCorp have bought this land years ago, and the paper trail sort of ends, and I've no idea what they've built there, what's there.
Yeah.
So I need you to go and investigate. And so that's a guy called Zheng Yibao, and he sends him off to investigate. And then we see him break in. He goes through the gate, and again, it kind of fools you, the viewer, into thinking, "Oh, cool, we're going to find out what's on this bit of land." And then it's quite tragic, really, because Stuart phones him back and says hello, and he's like, "Well, you told me to phone you. What have you found? What's going on?" And he's like, "Nothing at all. There was nothing there." And then he jumps off this skyscraper, and commits suicide. So whatever he's seen in that area, in that land, has obviously just completely destroyed this guy. And
he thinks he'd be better off dead.
Yeah. So what? Any ideas, dude? What you think that is?
No, I haven't got a clue. But again, it's kind of what the series has been missing. That it throws in a mystery, but it also ups the danger element of it. It's like, whoa, what has he seen? What is so bad that he's, jumping off a building is a better option? So yeah, again, I just like the intrigue there, but no, I've no idea what it is. No idea what it could be at all. And the problem is, we'll either not find out, or it'll be something a little bit disappointing. I mean, what can it be that would be so...
Well,
I can't think of anything that would make me jump off a building, to be honest.
Yeah, I'm trying to revitalize the old memory cells to go back when I watched this years ago, and I can't. In a way, I don't really want to remember too heavily, but whatever it was, it's enough to send this guy to his death. Voluntarily, which is scary, but.
I've known, unless it's like zombie humans or something that you think, God, I don't want to end up like that, so I'd rather kill myself. I don't know, but it was it added a bit of mystery and danger to the episode, which I liked. Wayne Knight is the guy, mate, that I was trying to think of from Jurassic Park. It's really weird, actually. I was that name means nothing to me. I didn't think that was his name, because if you said Wayne Knight, I would say who. But he's been in loads of stuff, hasn't he? So, and I'm sure anyone who likes Jurassic Park will know
loads
who we're talking about. But that's not a name I was expecting. I thought when I read his name, I would know it, because he's been in loads, that guy.
Yeah, hasn't he?
Yeah, so
loads, yeah.
Whether he'll pop back up, we don't know. Kind of hope he does. He's a good actor.
He is. Yeah, he's a good actor. And again, a bit like Ernie Hudson, we don't want to recognise him as just, the dude from
Jurassic Park.
From the dude from Jurassic Park. Yeah, he's been in loads of cool things. So,
what's that comedy that he was in for years? Third Rock from the Sun. Do you remember that?
Oh yeah, that was so funny, dude.
I used to love that.
Yeah. Wow, I might have to rewatch that.
I'm thinking of the right thing, aren't I? Yeah, I'm sure he was.
Third Rock from the Sun. Yeah.
Yeah. Great show.
Very funny. Yeah. Okay, dude. Spoken about some characters, key scenes. I haven't got anything else on my notes, buddy, unless you've got anything.
No, I don't think I have actually, really. Oh, I've just got the blessing written down.
Oh, of course, sorry. Yeah.
Very random.
Yeah,
I just wrote the blessing, which is something else that's been thrown in, another little mystery, another little breadcrumb. So, yeah, what do you reckon that is?
Yeah, so that to me, I'm not sure that, because that was revealed, again, in that very cool scene between Stuart and Jack where they're at the restaurant, and I think that's the dead end that Stuart's got to, I think, with this. He says, look, the only thing that I've been able to get out of all of this is something called the blessing. And he's like, it comes from some order of ministers somewhere. So that to me sounds a bit like a religious thing still, like they're carrying on with this miracle religious aspect of things. But I've no idea, dude. It's another little, but I'm glad you mentioned it, because that was very cool. And it feels like that's now another little breadcrumb that they need to start looking into and stuff. But that was kind of cool.
Yeah, it sounds kind of cool. Like I said, I haven't got anything else on my notes apart from so you don't get to see these, but on the Blu-ray, as I said to you before, Russell T Davies and John Barrowman do these intros. Well, I'd already been sort of slightly put off by the listeners' comments about this episode, and then I watched the little intro that these guys did, and I just thought, oh dear, this is going to be terrible. Because talk about trying to give it the hard sell. I mean, I can't really explain it, but I think anyone who's watched that little 30-second intro will know what I'm saying. They are both trying so hard to be enthusiastic about this episode that it just comes across as, oh dear. They're like, this week is great. You're gonna love it. We've got action. We've got explosions. And I'm like, oh dear, it's going to be rubbish, isn't it? Because you're just trying so hard. But no, yeah. Anyway, I thought it was all right, but. It's a shame you don't get to see those intros, mate. They're so bad.
I've seen them before, so I know exactly what you're talking about. Well, I see most of them. Yeah, it's US listeners, please put your fingers in your ears just for a second. But that's such an American thing to.
Do they do that?
Yeah, I mean it's the kind of thing that you see when they have like press junkets and another like when you see actors go off and promote films and new TV shows and stuff like that. It's the same kind of thing. It's like, you guys are going to love this. You know, we've got this, we've got that, got a bit of mystery. You'll have to tune in to find, it's just that run of the mill, like, yeah. So it's cheesy, but yeah, whatever.
But Barrowman looks like he's in his hotel room. It's as if they've just gone in and said, John, we need you to do these intros now. And he's like, oh my God, get the enthusiasm up. Come on. It's probably the day, when I met Barrowman and I put a photo in front of him and he went, oh, I hate this photo of me. And I'm like, oh, right. He says, oh, I was really tired that day. Oh, I'll sign it, but I don't like it and all this sort of thing. And I thought, I wonder if it was the day he filmed all these because he looks blimmin' knackered.
Probably out on a bender the night before.
Yeah, and the camera crew have burst in and be like, right, let's get these intros done. And he's like, oh,
yeah. Oh God. Yeah. I might watch them just for the crack. Just.
Yeah. Do it. Yeah.
Oh God. But, okay.
I'm sure there was one missing though, unless my player didn't play it. But I'm sure episode 3 didn't have one, which is really random.
Oh, okay. No, I think
I
they've all
might
got
be wrong.
one.
I
Yeah.
might have accidentally skipped it by mistake, but I'm sure there was one episode that didn't have it.
Oh, okay.
Which is strange.
Oh, weird. So the blessing then. Yeah, that's the last little.
Yeah.
Maybe
the
last bit of the puzzle, but. Okay. Rightio then. Let's put a score on this. I think it's me to go first. So I'm actually going to give this a 7.
Yes.
Out of 10. I think it was a good watch and a better watch than what we've had the last few weeks. The last few weeks we've scored them a 6 and a 6.5. So I think this is definitely warrants another step up, another point up to a 7. It was nothing crazy, nothing too amazing in terms of Torchwood that we've seen before, but yeah, a decent watch. Yeah.
Yeah, I'm a 7 as well for exactly those reasons. I just thought it was the first episode really in the series where I haven't been bored pretty much throughout. It had stuff going on and some new characters, new settings, some new mysteries. Performances were pretty good. For me, it was a decent episode. Yeah, nothing amazing, but yeah, I quite enjoyed it in many ways. Yeah.
Good. Well, let's hope that continues, dude, as we get through the next 4 episodes, that it sort of picks up from here. So a 7 from us then, which is cool. And we had no comments on the Facebook. We did have a few on Twitter, though. So let's go over there. Tracy Rowe, author and poet, says, Miracle Day is what happens when Americans get hold of a brilliant British TV series and turn it into Beep. And I'm an American. Oh, Tracy.
Oh, right. Oh, thank goodness for that.
Wow. So no score from Tracy, but I think it's pretty clear that she's not impressed with Torchwood thus far. Okay.
Yeah, 9 poo emojis out of 10.
But do you know what, though? Fair play to Tracy, because we've said this, for since the very beginning, since we started this podcast, when we've asked all of you for your thoughts and reviews and scores and stuff. We much prefer it when you've actually got something that's prompted you to get in contact and that you're not indifferent. So it doesn't matter if you hated it or whether you loved it. It's very cool that you've made the effort to actually fire up Twitter, get in contact with us and do that. So thank you very much, Tracy. But yeah, let us know, Tracy, if this is just this episode or whether you feel like it picks up a bit or whatever. But thank you very much for that. Sam Dooley says, much like the title, a very middle-of-the-road episode. The whole season moves forward just fine, and the entire story as a whole feels so filled with unnecessary side plots that deeming this episode as well-paced, quote-unquote, is quite the backwards compliment. So a 5 out of 10.
Okay.
Middle of the road from Sam. Chippy T says, I've retitled this episode Treading Water. Not much happens, which is immediately followed by even less happening. Thank the Almighty for the sequences in Wales. There is better to come, though, but don't hold your breath. 5 just for Gwen.
Good old Gwen.
Another middle of the road. And lastly, Will Sanger says, this might be the worst of this storyline yet.
Really?
Esther makes some really illogical and stupid decisions and proves to be utterly useless. Gwen and Reese are strong but barely in the story, and the gravity of the revelation from the last episode feels too splintered throughout.
Okay.
Oh dear, Will. So, I think you guys not really feeling this one.
No, not digging it, are they?
Not digging it, no. Okie dokie, so middle of the road scores from the listeners, 7 from us. As I mentioned at the beginning of the episode, we're away for the next 2 weeks. But when we do return, we're back to Classic Who. And dude, what have we got then?
Yeah, so we've got an absolute classic Third Doctor story. We'll be reviewing the Silurians.
The Silurians.
Yes, Third Doctor. We haven't seen him for a while, have we?
No, we haven't seen old Ruffles.
No.
For a while, have we? So, okay. When's the last time I saw this one? God, ages ago.
Oh, I think it in years.
Yeah, years and years. So it's going to be great to revisit some Pertwee. It's going to be good. How many parts is this one? Is it 6, 4, 6?
It's either 6 or 7. I can't remember.
Jesus.
It's quite a long one, isn't it?
Oh, it's 7, dude.
Is it 7? Wow.
Yeah. Wow. There we go. You guys have got 2 weeks, over 2 weeks, to get all 7 parts watched. So, yeah, do that. Okay, and on that note, I think we'll wrap there, dude, for episode 361.
Alrighty.
Thank you so much for listening to another week of the Big Blue Box. That was episode 361. Thank you very much to those of you that got in contact with your scores on Torchwood. The middlemen, bit of a middle of the road one, that. So we'll see and keep fingers crossed that it picks up as we get through the series. The next time that we're back, as Adam said, it's back to Classic Who, and it's Doctor Who and the Silurians. Bit of Third Doctor action, so that'll be cool. So get your DVDs out, get your BritBox fired up, get those watched, because as usual we'll be asking for your thoughts and scores out of 10, etc. In the meantime, make sure that you are following or subscribing to the podcast in your fave podcast app. Just do a search for the Big Blue Box, or you can find us over at bigblueboxpodcast.co.uk. There are links there to all the things. We're on the socials too, Instagram, Twitter and Facebook. Give us a like and a follow. We chat Doctor Who and all the other things actually throughout the week. Torchwood, Sarah Jane Adventures, all that stuff. Come and get involved. We do that over on the socials, and we have a free Discord server with even more Doctor Who chat. So grab the link on the website, hop in there and come and chat Doctor Who with loads of other cool Doctor Who fans. Also remember to check out my co-host channel over on YouTube. It is of course the Geek's Handbag.
Geek's Handbag, yeah, go and check out my new vid, and I'm also on all the socials, Facebook, Twitter and Instagram.
On the gram as well, yeah, so go and do that.
I love the gram.
Indeedy. Right, yeah, we'll be back in a few weeks' time. We'll keep you up to date on the socials though. But until then, my name's Gary.
My name's Adam.
And remember,
Aaaaaaaallons-y.